The entire kingdom held its breath as the prince stepped forward. Two sisters stood before him, one draped in shimmering silk, her beauty so flawless it seemed almost unreal, and the other in a simple gown, her eyes steady but shadowed by years of being overlooked. The royal court whispered behind jeweled fans, already certain of the outcome. After all, this ceremony was meant to be predictable. It always had been. Prince Adrian had been raised among perfection. Perfect manners, perfect posture, perfect alliances. His future bride, the queen beside him insisted, must embody the same. And yet, as he looked at the two women before him, something inside him resisted the script he had been handed his entire life. The elder sister, Celeste, stood tall, her chin lifted with quiet confidence. She had been prepared for this moment since childhood. Every movement she made was practiced, every smile carefully measured. She was beauty shaped by expectation and rewarded for it. Beside her stood Elara. Elara did not shine in the same way. Her dress was modest, her hair loosely tied, a few strands falling freely as if they refused to obey the strictness of the court. She kept her hands clasped, not out of fear, but as though holding onto something unseen, something deeply personal. Prince Adrian noticed something others didn't. Celeste looked at him. Elara looked at the people. As the king rose, his voice echoed through the grand hall. "My son, today you will choose not only your partner, but the future queen of this kingdom. Choose wisely." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Adrian stepped closer. "Before I decide," he said, his voice calm but firm, "I would like to ask each of you a question." Celeste smiled gracefully. Elara simply nodded. Adrian turned to Celeste first. "If you were queen, what would you do to make this kingdom stronger?" Celeste didn't hesitate. "I would strengthen alliances, expand trade, and ensure that our kingdom stands above all others. Power and prosperity must be our priority." The court nodded in approval. It was the perfect answer. Then Adrian turned to Elara. "And you?" Elara hesitated, not because she didn't know, but because she chose her words carefully. "I would listen," she said softly. A few nobles scoffed. "To who?" Adrian asked. "To those no one else listens to," she replied. "The hungry, the forgotten, the ones who don't stand in rooms like this." The whispers grew louder. "That's not how kingdoms are run," someone muttered. But Adrian didn't interrupt her. Elara continued, her voice steady now. "A kingdom isn't strong because of its wealth or alliances. It's strong because of its people. And if they are suffering, then no amount of gold can hide that truth." Silence followed. For the first time, Adrian felt something real break through the polished walls of the court. But the decision wasn't made yet. "Walk with me," he said. Gasps echoed as he led both sisters out of the grand hall and into the city beyond the palace gates. The guards hesitated, but the king allowed it. The three of them walked through streets the nobles rarely saw. They passed a baker closing his shop early because he couldn't afford more flour, a child sitting quietly outside a hospital clutching an empty bottle, an old woman trying to carry water with trembling hands. Adrian stopped. He turned to Celeste. "What do you see?" Celeste glanced around, uncomfortable. "People who need better systems, more structure. This can be fixed with proper governance," was a safe answer. Then he turned to Elara, but Elara was already moving. She had knelt beside the old woman, gently taking the heavy bucket from her hands. "Let me help you," she said. The woman blinked in surprise. "You don't have to." "I know," Elara smiled, "but I want to." She walked with her slowly, patiently, as if time itself didn't matter. Adrian watched in silence. When she returned, he asked, "Why did you do that?" Elara looked at him, almost confused by the question. "Because she needed help. Even if no one was watching," she gave a small smile. "Especially then. That was the moment everything changed." Back in the grand hall, the tension was suffocating. The king leaned forward. "Well?" Adrian stepped between the two sisters. He looked at Celeste, the embodiment of everything he had been told to choose. Then he looked at Elara, the embodiment of everything he had been taught to ignore. "My choice," he said, his voice steady, "is Elara." The hall erupted. "Impossible. She's not fit. This is madness." The king stood, his expression dark. "Explain yourself." Adrian didn't falter. "All my life I was told to choose perfection," he said. "But perfection doesn't feel. It doesn't stop. It doesn't kneel beside someone who is struggling. He turned toward Alara. She didn't help because she had to. She helped because it's who she is. Then he faced the court. A kingdom doesn't need a perfect queen. It needs a compassionate one. Silence followed. Not the polite silence of approval, but the heavy, uncomfortable silence of truth. And then something unexpected happened. The old woman from the street appeared at the entrance of the hall, escorted by a guard. She looked overwhelmed, out of place, but determined. "She helped me," the woman said, her voice trembling. "Not knowing who I was, not asking for anything in return." One by one, others began to speak. The baker, the child, people Adrian hadn't even noticed before. Their voices weren't loud, but they were real. And for the first time, the court listened. The king slowly sat down, his expression shifting, not fully convinced, but no longer certain of his opposition. Alara stood frozen, tears filling her eyes. "I'm not perfect," she whispered. Adrian smiled gently. "That's exactly why I chose you." The ceremony resumed, but it no longer felt like a performance. It felt like a beginning. Years later, people would still talk about that day, the day a prince broke tradition and chose compassion over perfection. Under Queen Alara's rule, the kingdom didn't become the richest. It became something far greater. It became kind. Hospitals expanded. Food reached those who had once been forgotten. And perhaps most importantly, people began to see each other, not as roles or status, but as human beings. Prince Adrian often walked the same streets they had visited that day. But now, he wasn't alone. Alara walked beside him, still stopping, still helping, still listening, because she had never changed, and neither had the lesson. Sometimes the choice that shocks the world is the one that heals it, and sometimes the person overlooked by everyone else is the one who sees everyone clearly.